Well, the sun's out and it's an absolutely beautiful day, but make no mistake about it, this morning there was a thick white frost and you knew that the depths of winter was here. And it's the ideal opportunity for me to give you 5 winter tips. Number 1, and it has to be number 1, and that's the use of fluorocarbon line. For me, it's vitally important, as I'm 100% confident I catch more fish and I get more bites using this type of line. I only use it really for the hook lengths. Like I say, it's virtually invisible underwater and you definitely get more bites. And through trial, fishing with it, putting it through its paces, I definitely have seen a difference. And I'm 100% sure at the end of the match, not only have I had more bites, but I've got more fish in my net. Also, the new fluorocarbons that are available now, the quality of them, the knot formation and everything makes them a lot more reliable. In the past, I've sort of stepped back from fluorocarbon because of its unreliability, but now they're proven products, and like I say, I use them all the time. Virtually exclusive, apart from a pellet waggler fishing in the summer, I use them for absolutely everything, and I'm 100% confident in them. Number 2, it has to be darkening my ground bait off. I've got favourite ground baits that I use, say for instance here today, the F1 one. It's a fantastic ground bait, it catches fish all year round. This time of year, when the water's cold and on the clear side, I just want to darken it off. Using something like the Method Mix in the dark or the black, I can just darken it off and I can tailor that colour of the ground bait to exactly suit how clear the water is. One little tip with this, always keep very accurate measurements so you can duplicate the exact mix. For instance, today I'm going to be using 1 bag of the F1 and 250 ml of the Method Mix black. This way I can duplicate it. It's not like a handful of this and a handful of that. I can duplicate this mix absolutely exactly. Number 3, and it's something that I've been using a lot, not just on commercials, but on natural venues as well. And that's incorporating power gum into my feeder rig. Now, this obviously has got 2 or 3 major pluses this time of year. Number 1, it acts as a boom. When I'm leaving my rig out there, I don't want it tangled. I want to know that I'm fishing 100% of the time. I don't want to be casting out and getting any kind of tangles and sitting there for 10, 15, 20 minutes sometimes this time of year, waiting for a bite. I retrieve the rig and it's tangled. So it does act as a boom. I use about 4 or 5 inches of it just to hold it away from the feeder. The second reason, again, it gives me a little bit of added security. If I'm fishing for carp or F1s or even some bream, if I'm fishing braid direct, bites are going to be quite violent. They're going to be very fast. And sometimes, obviously, if you're unlucky, they can break you before you get to the rod. This time of year, I want to be fishing light. That's going to get me bites. So incorporating the power gum just gives me that added little bit of security when I'm playing the fish and when I get the bite. The third reason, and it's something that a lot of people don't think about, and for me, it's the most important part, or should I say the best part of this rig. Incorporating power gum into your rig, when you get that first indication, the power gum is always pulling back, which most of the time will set the point of that hook, and like I say, get you that bite. You miss a lot less bites. So all in all, I can't think of a bad point about incorporating power gum into my rig. I use the 8-pound ends on, doesn't let me down. I've caught massive fish on this. I can fish strong hook lengths and know that if I'm going to get snapped, it's not the power gum that's going to let me down. The next tip I want to give you, and again, this is something that I see a lot of people, in my opinion, making the mistake. Venues like commercial venues, anywhere where you're fishing towards cover. As you know, a lot of fish, when the water goes cold and clear, they go towards cover. That might be rush beds, it might be a dying off lily patch, it could be an overhanging bush, anything like this. And that is the use of the ghost tops. Any of the tops that are silver, white. Again, a lot of people back away from this. They think it's a summer thing when you're fishing shallow. And for me, when the water's cold and clear, my pole is going to be ultra visual. The fish are going to see it, and obviously that's going to result in spooking fish out of my peg. So if you are faced with a peg where you can get towards cover, towards anything that the fish are going to be under, definitely use a ghost kit, as you're going to ultimately spook less fish, which is definitely going to get you more bites. The last tip I'm going to give you today, I've caught a lot of big fish recently on the pole. 1 or 2 fish, and like I say, I always refer to the bigger fish as game changers. You don't need many of them, especially this time of year. 1 or 2 decent carp or decent bream in the right match can make a massive difference. And what I want to talk to you about for the last tip is strong but light elastic. So by this, I mean light as in stretch. You're going to hook the fish is going to go, you're not going to be bottomed out on these light lines, and you're going to land the fish. But what I mean by strength is an elastic that is very, very strong in your hands. When you've actually maxed the elastic out, there's no more stretch, which is what's going to happen when you're landing these big fish at close quarters. You hook a 10-pound fish, you're going to have to strip a lot of elastic out to actually lock the elastic and get the fish under control to net it. And this is where you need an elastic that isn't brittle. It's very, very strong. So very light elastics as far as when you hook the fish can go. It's not going to bottom you out and snap you, but very, very strong, as in the actual strength of the elastic to feel, so you can't actually break it with your hands. So there's 5 of my winter tips. I wanted to pick tips that I think stand me in very good stead and put ultimately more fish in my net. Very, very important, all these tips. There's obviously a lot of other important things, but I'm sure if you incorporate a few of these into your fishing, you're going to catch a few more.